How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Assist Me Q&A answers for Nemesis and Dr. Strange. So as many of you guys are going to be noticing, this video is a little late. We came into a couple of issues with our recording equipment, and as long as putting priority on stuff that needed to be finished for the official product. But I have not forgotten about you, and all these questions I'm going to try to answer as many as possible since we don't have to film live video for this one. So let's go ahead and get started, and hopefully I can clear up a few of your concerns about Nemesis and Dr. Strange.
My first question is about Nemesis. I noticed that he is similar to Ghost Rider as far as high damage keep away attacks. So between Nemesis and Ghost Rider, who has the advantage in keep away attack range and how much damage they can dish out?
I'd actually say as far as overall damage and keep away, Ghost Rider is much more effective. Nemesis has some very tricky stuff when he gets up close, but he only has a couple of tools as far as effective keep away, and the rocket isn't that great of one. Ghost Rider is definitely your go-to if you're looking for keep away and good damage.
So my question this week is about Dr. Strange. From the very beginning when Dr. Strange was announced, I noticed he had a lot of moves, like approaching Dante levels. Not quite, but you get the idea. And the first thing I thought was, holy crap, how are you going to control him? And looking at, he's got the discs, the blades, the teleport, Eye of Agamotto, all the runes, that little two-beam attack. He's got all those different things. I'm just wondering, how does he control? What kind of inputs do you have to do? Are there like Rekka-like motions like Dante, or something like that? Or are a lot of them designated to like special normal commands? So I was just wondering how you can get at that really diverse arsenal that Dr. Strange has.
Doctor Strange's move list is pretty big, but it's nowhere near close to the size of Dante's in the original vanilla. However, controlling Doctor Strange is a little bit tricky. It's all about setting things up with this character. And if you don't properly set things up or cover yourself, a lot of his normals are really unsafe. The Impact Palm, for example, or his launcher is extremely unsafe. It's about learning how to keep Doctor Strange safe with his select specials, and he's not really a Rekka character. Canceling into or summoning multiple orbs has Rekka-like motions, but there's nothing nearly as like Plink heavy or very execution heavy as like Dante, for example.
Hey Max, I was wondering if you could make a beginner guide for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 if you haven't planned yet. And are you planning yet? And if you're not, can you please make one, because we have some NPC noobs here and like me that need one. And I feel like you would be the best.
It's hilarious that I don't even think about this stuff until people mention it, and now that I think about it, a lot of the stuff and a lot of the videos I make are really tailored for the mid-tier kind of player to hopefully people that are high-tier that can potentially learn something new, but I never really consider the person who is just picking up the game for the first time, and I've actually had quite a few requests to do beginner guides to give people the ropes, learn the basics, and how they should essentially form their teams and then play the game. So I definitely think it's a really good idea, and it's probably something I'll be investing time to somewhere down the line.
Who do you think is the top tier between Nemesis, Hulk, and Sentinel?
So all these three characters are pretty similar, large, heavy-hitting guys, and with a variety of armor on their moves. However, I still think amongst the three that Sentinel takes the cake between all of them. That's just a personal opinion right now, and that could definitely change if technology is discovered down the line with Hulk or Nemesis. But even though Sentinel got a little bit nerfed in his health, and he got a little bit nerfed in some of his combo potential, he's still really effective. That crouching medium and that jumping frying pan is still really good.
In regards to Doctor Strange, do you think what type of assists do you think would work well with him? Do you think he needs an OTG assist, or do you think that the combination of the red orb and the fireball would be enough in a combo situation, meaning you think it's quick enough to be pulled off?
An OTG assist might benefit Dr. Strange a lot, actually. All things considered, when you're in mid-combo, and if you're mid-screen with Dr. Strange, knocking them down with special at the end of a combo is going to leave them pretty far away, and of course your red orb won't have enough time to OTG unless you're in a corner. So OTG assists will definitely allow you to extend your combos like twofold in damage almost, but at the same time he's a teleport character, so having a beam special or I'm sorry, a beam assist could really help as far as getting damage and just pummeling them with side switching and your assist coming up on the other side.
My question is, do you see any similarities between Phoenix and Doctor Strange? And also, do you feel like most Phoenix players, aka scrubs, are going to jump ship to Doctor Strange when Ultimate Marvel comes out?
Ooh, those are some harsh words. I think a lot of Phoenix players will definitely give Doctor Strange a shot. How long they're going to stay with him, I don't know. Phoenix wasn't exactly a very much executional heavy character. She really relied on Dark Phoenix and X Factor to give her an extremely high amount of damage where low, easy execution combos could easily kill. But Doctor Strange does share a lot of similarities where he's able to teleport to the ground and follow himself down with the projectiles behind him. So those similarities are very apparent, but the big thing Doctor Strange does not have is an air dash, and that might deter a lot of Phoenix players.
Seeing as hypers are now mashable and ultimate, does that mean the baseline output for hyper damage has gone lower because you can mash them?
In some situations, yes, this is true. A few hypers' base damage, if you do not mash, has now been lowered for some situations. Some of them have not even changed, and some of them are actually higher, so they vary heavily. To clear this up, and a lot of people are asking, because mashing is now an actual really important mechanic because of the difference of damage it does in Ultimate, I'm going to make a video highlighting the Marvel side of the cast and the Capcom side of the cast, showing what all of their hypers do without mashing, and with the highest degree of mashing to give you guys an easier perspective as far as what mashing actually does.
Summon the orbs, like the red and the green, yellow orbs. If you get hit, like if you're Doctor Strange, you get hit, do they disappear and do you have to reset them, or no?
This is one of the most unique aspects of Doctor Strange, and unlike most or almost any other character in the cast, if they set something on the screen, or if they have a projectile on screen and they get touched, the projectile's gone, and it disappears immediately. But all of Doctor Strange's glyphs, even if he's hit, they all remain on the screen, and they do not go away.
In your opinion, because he has so many big damaging and easy combos, will he end up another Day 1 Sentinel just like in vanilla UMVC3, or will his lack of mobility stop him in that and make him more a bit of harder to use character?
The more I use Nemesis, the more I agree, and I think that he's a more he's a harder character to use than Sentinel. The thing with Sentinel what's upset a lot of players from vanilla was the amount of hyper armor moves he had, where if you hit him, his crouching medium, for example, you can hit him multiple times and the thing would still come out. His jumping special had a huge amount of priority, or his standing special as well. Nemesis has a couple of those moves, but they come out very slow. And if you notice, like Hulk or Sentinel, when they do them, the armor is immediately activated. But with Nemesis, it takes like a few frames of animation for it to kick in. So if you press the button and a guy hits you, Nemesis gets hit out of the move a lot of times. So yeah, I think Nemesis is going to be a much more difficult character to use than Sentinel, for example.
Hey Max, when you were doing the Nemesis command grab reset, you kept using the medium command grab, and it seems to me like if they want to get out of it and they try to move towards you instead of just not going anywhere and getting hit by the reset every time, that if they went towards you, you could use the heavy command grab instead since it hits above you. And I was wondering if that worked.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This goes into a bit more of deeper prediction tactics with Nemesis. If you put them up in that position where they neutral tech, or they tech back, or they tech forward. If they neutral tech, the medium one is perfect because it just grabs them right out of the sky. But if they forward tech, you can predict it by doing the fierce one, which puts them right over Nemesis and gives you the perfect opportunity to follow up with the combo. If they however tech back, you actually have to dash forward and then do the medium command grab to get him.
First of all, I was wondering, his counter projectile super, the 7 rings, I was wondering, does the damage on that super stay the same no matter what type of projectile activates it? Say reuse regular fireball as opposed to his super fireball?
Doctor Strange's projectile counter super is not dependent on the degree of levels as far as how beefy the opponent's fireball is. Pretty much any small beam from a single finger laser to a gigantic Shinko Hadouken will release the exact same counter by Doctor Strange.
His Biohazard Rush, I was wondering if that went through Wesker's counter, or if Wesker's counter would still count that as a physical and negate it.
Yeah, I just tested this one out, and it appears that Wesker can counter it. The only issue is that Wesker's counter doesn't last very long, but if you duck the first attack of the Biohazard Rush and then immediately input your motion, the second hit will hit Wesker and he'll go into the full counter.
Hello, Max. This is your friend Shimokorak here with a couple of questions. Does Nemesis' command grab is blockable like Spencer's arm, or is it completely unblockable like Super Scroll's Elastic Slam?
Holy crap, it's Shumagarath. His command grab is exactly like Super Scrolls, so they are unblockable command grabs, and as long as they're positioned correctly, they'll grab the opponent.
I got some questions regarding Doctor Strange and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. First off, how is his health? With him, it seems like his health would probably be around average to maybe low health.
Doctor Strange is indeed a low health character, and I think his absolute health hovers somewhere around 800,000. If not, maybe a little bit more. It could be 825.
So I have a question about the 7 rings of Rogador, Doctor Strange's projectile counter hyper. Now, how would it counter a hyper where the projectile continued to come out even after the user's been hit out of it? Like in the case of Zero's Rakoha?
So the projectile counter hyper is a little unique, even in situations where the opponent's projectile, like the Rakoha from Zero as you said, Doctor Strange will impact with it, and then his beam counter will come out, and literally it'll negate the entire thing. It'll completely disappear. Interestingly enough, you can actually DHC into another Doctor Strange, and he can then projectile counter the projectile counter from the other Doctor Strange. But if those two beams collide, it's very similar to previous versus games where, for example, if Cyclops versus Cyclops would do the gigantic optic blast against each other, they just collide mid-screen and none of the characters get touched.
Do you think Nemesis' launcher slam assist will be the new Hager Tron assist, seeing as how it has hyper armor and the fact that you could combo afterwards? Do you think people will start abusing this as they did with the double lariat in the vanilla MVC3?
While the launcher slam is my preferred assist for Nemesis, it is by no means a Gustav Fire or a lariat from vanilla. The big issue is that, like I was saying earlier, Nemesis armor on his moves takes a few frames of animation to kick in. So if you summon the assist right in the middle of an area where you're under a lot of pressure, Nemesis will actually get hit from the very beginning frames of animation, and it'll just negate the whole thing. The actual launcher slam does not have armor until he knocks down with the rocket launcher.
I was wondering if you could go into more details about the rockets that Nemesis fires. What are the differences between the light, medium, and heavy rockets? What are the difference between the aerial, light, medium, and heavy rockets? Can you Tiger Knee their inputs?
Nemesis only actually has one command input for the launcher, and it's literally Fireball forward with special. There's no light, medium, or heavy variants. You can Tiger Knee it, but if you do it from the ground, it just goes directly horizontal. If you jump in the air, it angles down, and that's about it. There's no other variants to the move at all.
We know that Sentinel is tall, and some characters have trouble jumping over him normally. And the trouble for that is the characters that have a dash cross-up, they can't do it sometimes. My question for Nemesis is, can you jump over him normally with his height?
This was actually one of the first things I was noticing when I was going up against Nemesis in training mode, and like Sentinel, he's one of the tallest characters in the game. And also similar to Sentinel, you cannot cross him up if he's standing. You can't even normally jump over the guy with, I don't think, any character in the game. He's that tall, and it's very hard to move around him against a guy that's that big in size. And that's going to just about do it for the Assist Me Q&A session for Nemesis and Dr. Strange. Once again, I'd like to thank you guys for your patience, and I know this video was extremely late. But going forward, this is going to be an extremely busy time of the month for me with the game finally coming out. I'd like to produce more video content related to these kind of Q&A sessions, but they're going to be included with later episodes of the Online Warrior for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 when it comes out, and plenty of other interesting videos that I hopefully will be producing before the game's launch. And hopefully those will be able to answer some of your questions in some of like the Marvel Madness videos, for example, for you to see more of the characters. But for now, I'm going to have to actually temporarily suspend the Q&As for the later episodes. It sucks we only got to do half of them, but I really need to put priority on what I think would be more enjoyable and more educational video content as we get closer to the game's release. But thank you all very much for watching. If you haven't checked out the latest episodes of Assist Me, Nova and Virgil just debuted, and of course you've probably already seen the one for Phoenix Wright and Iron Fist. Thanks for your support, everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode of Assist Me. Take care.